Don't know about you, but I am feeling like summer has properly arrived now after that. Beach Boys, Good Vibrations on BBC Radio Oxford. It's 24 minutes to 4 right now. It is Friday, which means there are new movies out today, of course. So, as ever, it is time to catch up with our movie critic, Van Connor, to talk about two of the movies he's managed to get to see this week to find out what he really thinks of them. You'll know if you listen to this kind of part of the show every week that, you know, he doesn't hold back. He's brutally honest. It's Van Connor. Good afternoon, Van.
Good afternoon, Mr. Paul. I'll be honest, I now feel like we're setting an unfair expectation at other film critics are just serial liars, which is clearly not true. But I think they're just more diplomatic than I am.
That's probably it. Yes, that's probably it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like your honesty. That's the whole point. You know, you just tell us if it's worth seeing or not. We could always
It's nice to be appreciated. I'm not going to lie.
Well, exactly. We can make our own minds up, can't we? If we don't want to listen to you. So we got two this week: Boogeyman and, of course, Spider-Man, the new animated one.
I mean, two different men, Boogie and Spidey. So, you know, I mean, do we start with Disco or do we go with Arachnid? I mean, I'm not sure which order we're doing them in this week.
Totally up to you. Which would you like to start with?
All right, well, let's give producer Stu some foreknowledge, and let's start with Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. Sorry, 'cause I know people are very excited about this.
Yes,
we'll just get hated on for the next few minutes if we don't get it out of the way. So let's talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is the sequel to the best animated feature-winning 2018 movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was the cinematic debut of Miles Morales, the other Spider-Man. You know, because there are many Spider-Men, as we know from these movies, but there's only two sort of main ones. There's Peter Parker and there's Miles Morales, and they are Spider-Man, respectively. So Miles Morales was our lead in the last one, which was the first multiverse-hopping superhero adventure. This is the follow-up to that, and it's basically sort of the animated answer to something like Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Back to the Future 2, or The Matrix Reloaded. If you would like to use that kind of example, it's very clearly a film that follows on from the first one, as in you have to have seen that first one, and it's also part one of a finale, so you're not quite getting a complete movie. So let's get that off the top right there, okay?
Yeah.
So it's sometime after the events of the first movie. Miles Morales is getting on with his life. He's getting the hang of being Spidey, being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and helping the people of Brooklyn and stopping the muggers and, stopping the bank robbers and all that stuff. And but he misses his mates. He misses his multi-dimensional Spidey mates from the first movie, particularly Spider-Gwen, who he had a bit of a thing for. She's voiced by Haley Steinfeld. Miles is voiced by Shameik Moore, returning as well. And one day, a dimensional rift opens and Gwen reappears with the new ability to, project herself across realities. She tells him of a secret society of elite spiders, the Spider-Man, the Spider Society, led by Spider-Man 2099, whose ranks he desperately wants to join. But they seem a bit apprehensive about having him around. And he very soon quickly starts to question what it is that this Spider Society is quite working towards, and finds himself very firmly at odds with them. We've got a clip for you. It's not of any of the action stuff. This is of the really fun, sort of more domestic stuff early on. This is Miles and his parents in a school guidance counselor meeting.
Okay. Miles's grades are pretty good. A in AP Physics.
That's my little man.
And AP Studio Art.
He takes after his uncle.
A- in English.
She's a tough grader.
And a B in Spanish.
What?
Ooh, okay.
Miles.
Are you trying to
Mira,
kill
eso
your
es
mother?
imposible.
Cálmate, mami. Eso no es my fault.
¿Qué es eso que esto no es my fault? Tú estás tomando una clase en Spanglish.
Mom, I just missed a few classes.
Oh, just a few classes. Well, what's a few?
I mean, like 5?
5?
Actually 6.
You're dead.
See, that to me, this sounds like a fun movie, but I do have slight issue with, A, the fact that it follows on from the first one and I haven't seen the first one, and 2, that it's the first of a 3-part series, is it?
No, that you're thinking of the Fast and Furious finale. No, it's an easy mistake to make. This is only a 2-part finale. No. We're not going overkill like the Vin Diesel one. That would be nuts.
So you've got to wait another year or more, maybe, to actually get to the end of this whole sort of story.
It is exactly a year. I think it's May next year. We're getting Beyond the Spider-Verse, which the more you think about it, does kind of tell you the direction. When you think about that title, it's kind of tell you the direction it may go in. Actually, now that I think about it, but that's real nerd ephemera that I'm delving into there. This is really, really good fun. I mean, it's inventive, imaginative animation, the likes of which you've never seen. The first one was groundbreaking animation, and the only film that's come close in the years since to recapturing that feeling was The Mitchells vs. the Machines on Netflix about 2 years ago, which involved most of the same creative team, to be fair, so kind of understandable. This is the only thing that has managed to top that on the here's how you change the animation game front. That being said, there is not a single molecule of this movie that comes even close to being half as effective as the leap of faith sequence from the first movie, which is something that will reduce me to emotional rubble on a dime. The gags are great, the performances are top notch, the writing is sharp, it's suspenseful, it's thrilling. Like I say, it takes you to places that you really, really don't expect. There's loads of really deep nerd cuts in there. There's one in particular that I was the only voice in the room laughing hysterically at, which made me feel pretty bad in a room full of film critics, I'm not going to lie.
You were the only geek film critic there that knew the full history. That's why, by the sounds of it.
Not geek, but I think in that room, probably the only one who'd ever read a Spider-Man book by the look of it. The only time I had that otherwise, I think, was Guardians of the Galaxy 2 years ago, and there was a deep cut in that one that had me howling. I was, again, felt alone in that room. But it's part and parcel of it. I will say, if you like the first one, you're going to like this as well. I think if the first movie's a solid 5 stars, this is a 4.5. It's a big movie. It's a lot of movie. I mean, even runtime wise, it's a lot of movie. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Wow,
so
okay.
It's longer than the last. I mean, it's about as long as most live action MCU movies. It's really, really good though. For my money, probably the 3rd or 4th best Spider-Man movie of all time. I will actually, I will put Raimi's Spider-Man at number 1 and Into the Spider-Verse at number 2, and I would maybe put No Way Home ahead of this, if I'm really, really honest. But if you're a Spider-Man fan, this is unmissable stuff. If you love the first one, it's unmissable stuff. If you just like a good, solid, family-friendly, animated adventure movie, unmissable stuff. It is just unmissable across the board. It's not Back to the Future 2, to be fair, but it's a darn sight better than The Matrix Reloaded and Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest. I'll give it that.
Okay, well, you can make your own mind up because it is in cinemas from today, I believe, if you want to go see it.
Seeing it. Everyone's going to see it.
That's where the queues are going to be over the weekend, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, next movie, Boogeyman. Talk to me about this.
So, The Boogeyman, adaptation of, I think, a 25-page short story by Stephen King that he wrote. I'm not sure if he was going through his Bachman period in 1973. He wrote for Chevalier magazine, and it got collected in Night Shift in the late 70s. It's one of the short stories in the Night Shift book. One of my favourite works, probably my favourite Stephen King work of all time, actually. Now adapted for a feature-length film, and the short story makes up about 2 minutes of its 93-minute runtime. So, if Spider-Verse was 1/3 of a movie, this is 300% of, 3,000%, sorry, of a short story. Absolutely harrowing tale of a demon that hunts children, effectively, when their parents are neglecting them in the night. When they put the kids to bed and they go about their business, the demon comes for the kids. And when the kids start screaming and the parents don't show up, the demon has his reign. We get told this story by a man walking into his psychiatrist's office, a man named Lester Billings, who was the protagonist of the short story. He's played here by David Smolchin. Tells this therapist, played by Devil and the newsroom actor Chris Messina, about this story, and very shortly afterwards takes his own life. It then very quickly emerges that the psychiatrist's own family are having their own traumatic incidents that seem to be tied to a very familiar story. And the curse, it seems, has passed along to them. I've got a clip for you, and this is Lester telling the story originally to said psychiatrist.
Sucked the life right out of them. Even if the first one was an accident, it still made us susceptible. Susceptible. To what? I don't know exactly. I only glimpsed it once. Right before my Annie's neck broke. Before they died, my kids, I thought it was just their imaginations getting the better of them. And my oldest, he tried drawing it for me. What is this supposed to be? It's the thing that comes for your kids when you're not paying attention.
Oh, I'm all over this. Is this one that has you trembling on your sofa?
Well, I mean, I saw this in an IMAX screen for one thing, so there's not much room to really tremble. You tend to vibrate the row in those screens. Really, really good, really solid. It's directed for the screen by Rob Savage, who did Host during lockdown. The Zoom seance movie, did Dashcam as well, and obviously now has done this as the the hat trick. It's written by Brian Woods and Scott Beck, who gave us the Quiet Place movies.
Oh, brilliant.
Well.
I love those.
Yeah, so there's some good pedigree here, and it's all about atmosphere, and it's all about tension. The jump scares, there are a couple of effective ones. Some of them do fall a bit flat, but it is really effective in building up that tension and building up that atmosphere. Great set of performances in the leads, though, from the daughters, who are played by Sophie Thatcher. And I forget the name of the young actress who plays Princess Leia in Obi-Wan Kenobi, plays young Princess Leia. And weirdly, both stars are from Star Wars, strangely enough, because Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets was also in Book of Boba Fett as well. So they seemingly cast this one based entirely on Disney Plus Star Wars shows. Not a complaint, because at the very least, they're both very talented actresses, and I will get a bat for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think it's an underrated Star Wars show. Chris Messina, I will watch in anything, but you give me David Esmalchin in a Stephen King adaptation, and you have my money, sir. Deservedly so. That man is boss, and he brings it here. I think this is a really solid pulse-pounding chiller. It's the most terrifying thing this side of 3 Mobile's customer service. I really, really enjoyed this.
Well, if you want to go and see it, you can go and watch it in the cinema. It's out today, I believe, as well, isn't it? It's brand
It
new
is
one.
indeed today.
There you go. Boogeyman. If you want to go, you might want to take something to cover your eyes by the sounds of it halfway through the movie.